the big awards night through the week was the All-Australian on Monday night. Just turn these two, Frawley and Darcy, down, if you wouldn't mind, whilst Damien Barrett and I cast our eye over a side, Damo, that has to be said, in all my time of watching and listening to football, there's not been an outrage about...
A more controversial team hasn't been selected?
No, it's elicited a passionate response, the likes of which these two need to be held accountable because they are responsible for this side.
Well, at least Luke fronted up on the night to answer the questions.
Let's deal with that.
We'll deal with that in a minute. Or you want to deal with that first?
Deal with that now,
okay,
because you'd reckon the 9 blokes who picked the side at front up stick their chin out and say, that's our side,
well,
come on.
Some did. Some actually appeared on camera, and Luke did, and did a good job of it. Some were in the room outside the camera situation, and some just didn't even turn up.
Who?
Well, Danny, as a selector of this... What? On the...
Well, you should have did what Lee Matthews did and stepped down.
No. It says when you sign to go on, and a confidentiality clause.
Correct.
Nowhere in the fine print does it say you have to turn up. And I would have loved to have been there.
I would go as far as saying you not being there was you washing your hands of the
fire.
No,
I wasn't. That's irrelevant.
I agree with that.
No,
where were you that night? Were you drinking that night?
No.
Were you on a social occasion
I was not.
that night?
No, definitely not.
Nearly got it back.
No, Damo, I had a prior commitment that was booked in about 6 months ago.
Well, I
that's
think
irrelevant.
When you're
be very careful with that too, Damo.
When you're the All-Australian selector, you know that the Monday before the prelim, that's where you got to be.
It's been locked into that slot for 15 years.
Danny's defence, he declared that at the start of the year. He said, I can't make
Having said that, there's been a split in the ranks as well. Jared Hill has thrown you all under the bus and said, "What's me? Oh, this one. Oh, don't worry about it. Don't look at me." So what's happened?
Which one? What?
Nat Newey?
Well, look, I'll put
I'm
my
looking
hand
at
up
Duke.
here.
I'm looking right at Duke. You push.
I stand by the Nat Newey selection. I actually feel as though that the outrage that's coming back towards the All-Australian selectors on that is misguided. And I think some people who haven't watched the game close enough are actually firing shots. I mean, his year stacks up on any level.
I think one vote.
Is the influence on a game?
Just on that, Damo. The one vote, Mark Ricciuto, and that's...
he's throwing Roo under the bus.
Roo picked Jacobs, and he's openly stated
Are we allowed to say that?
We are.
I haven't heard that. That's a bomb.
Because he went with it. Go with it. Mark Ricciuto's been going with it every day since Tuesday.
Before we go further into the intricacies of the team itself, it's not just Garry and I have had problems with this.
I'm respectfully challenged.
But there's other famous football names. Dermott, Brereton and Jason Dunstall. And you'll hear these people in order now with their views on
they got history amongst themselves.
Australian selection. Dermott Brereton first, Jason Dunstall second.
Just because you have a coaching label next to your name doesn't mean you are the oracle on football.
How do you reckon Spud would have gone in those meetings, Chief, when it was a real crunch item? Is it Jacobs or Nat Newey? How do you reckon he would have gone in the debate?
I imagine he would have got argumentative and probably very forceful. Physical. And I believe that Spud got his way most of the time when there was a split issue.
You reckon?
So, and that makes it even more damning that he wouldn't turn up to justify some of his selections.
I'd actually heard the opposite, that even though he likes throwing his weight around and the threats of physical violence around us, that when he's in the room with Andrew Demetrio, he goes totally
No, I know he had another meeting with Andrew Demetrio about something else this afternoon. He is a heavyweight, mate, and he forced his way onto a lot of those issues, and all the missed selections or wrong selections were Spud's fault.
Now, was that Dermott questioning your credentials as a selector?
Look, it was too short. I thought
it was. He was.
I thought he was talking about the fact that all the selectors should resign, and that may be the end piece. But KB's an ex-coach, and Lee Matthews is an ex-coach as well, and I was obviously an ex-coach. So I think those remarks were very ordinary coming from Dermott, if that's the case, because it's like you, Damo, sitting on the fence.
I don't sit on the fence.
No, well, Dermott has.
No, everyone knows where I stand.
I've heard Dermott during the week. Name the names that he wants to put in, and then also name the names of the guys that should go out, because I think that's a blight on the All-Australian team to start making disparaging remarks about 22 guys.
Sam Mitchell, surely.
Well, come on, take one out
top
then.
of the ladder.
Come on, Mr. Media Megastar.
Kennedy out.
Kennedy's out. Is that right? He'll be leading the Brownlow after round 10.
Mitchell has to be in.
Well, come on, put one out then.
I just did.
Didn't go down that well.
Did two of you, because I'm blaming you, because you're here, I think you got seduced by the highlight reels of a couple of players and didn't really take into account their contribution over the course of the entire year. Nick Naitanui and Cyril Rioli.
You've got to delve into the numbers, Gary, a little more
and that's
deeply.
the other thing.
No, the numbers aren't. But it's only a reflection
I
of
think
the
Jared's
influence.
pulled in Glenn Luff. What's that? Glenn?
Yeah, Luffy,
Luff.
from Champion
And you
Day.
blokes are just falling at his feet going, Luffy, give me more. And then you went, stats.
We've been criticised for
Everywhere.
picking a team that has 10 midfielders in the team. We actually picked a team to play. Surioli is the best tackling forward in the competition.
He's the number one pressure player in the competition by 10%.
Score involvements per possession better than anyone in the comp. And I know he
How many
averages
possessions
12.
does he get?
4. He averages 13.
There's a fair chance you're going to have a high percentage of score involvements. We only get it 14 times.
But he plays on the half-forward flank.
And we
He
got
got 37
even
goals, and he was
more-
selected
and we
on the
got
half-forward
criticised
flank.
for
He
Matthew
missed 5
Pavlich.
weeks with a hamstring and then was off early in another 2
He's
games.
got, you've got
weeks
your
for the
arguments.
hamstring.
No,
You've all had your arguments too
Only two,
ready with the
wasn't
stats to back up
No,
what
well,
you've
Matthew
selected.
Pavlich, you said he should be in.
Where is he?
Matthew
Of course he had to
Pavlich
be
played
in.
the first 11 games as a midfielder, so we looked at that. He kicked 9 goals in the first
Just
11
makes him
games.
versatile, midfielder and forward.
Well, he wasn't good enough
Surely
in
there's
those
a spot-
first 11 games to play in the midfield.
Well, how good
He
was his
wasn't
last
even on the board.
11?
As a forward, yes.
Just
There's
No
gotta
one
cut-
was better in the last 11.
So we'll start putting players in after 11 games of brilliance.
Just let me cut in quickly.
How many games did Buddy
Warrior.
Franklin play?
Yeah, Matthew
Well, okay,
Pavlich was very good in the
Franklin
second half
only
of the
played
season.
5 more games
16.
than half that season you referred to with
5
Pavlich.
more.
He
What
played
about
16
the
games.
wobble on this bloke when he
Crikey.
starts? You think you're onto something. You're not onto anything at all because...
You're arguing with
What
Buddy
about the
Franklin's
back line
selection
then?
in the
What about the back line?
Sean
What do you think of the
Dempster?
back line?
I reckon the back line was okay. I thought Gibson should have been in the initial squad and the 22, but that's just
Sean
me.
Dempster
Well,
had a better
I
year
thought
than-
Dempster was a
Who
bit
would you put in
lucky.
front of Dempster?
Corey Enright.
Dempster's year was unbelievable. Played on Franklin one week, Eddie Betts the next week. Only had
Corey Enright plays on all of them and doesn't ever get beat.
conceded 19 goals for the year, Sean Dempster, in an unbelievable season, tall and small. It was a
Gibson.
breakout year for
Gibson, number
Very
one
good.
spoiler in the
Very good.
competition.
Probably suffered from
Never
the fact
beaten.
that
He suffered from the fact that that what he does
Sorry,
isn't
you're
backed up
finishing
by
my
stats.
statement, are you now?
Never beaten,
Damo, eh?
Gibson, never beaten.
What about... You make a
Hang on,
suggestion.
what-
Don't just jump on his choices.
What did he suffer from?
Well, before I was interrupted by Warrior here, he's just wobbling his head right out of control.
probably doesn't play on
No, he doesn't.
good players.
plays on all
he
of them
plays
out there. That's not
third
his,
man in
That's
at
not
times.
his fault. They only played
Had a
5.
sensational year, Gary, and you'd love to have seen Josh Gibson get in there. But
So he lined up against the wall. Gibson, Dempster. Who do you pick?
different role.
Nah.
Dempster
Role,
plays
nah.
the back pocket.
Dempster plays on the small
Gibson
forward.
plays in the back
He was
pocket.
fighting with
Dempster
Grant
plays
Birchall
on
for the same spot.
No,
He
no,
had that.
that's rubbish,
Dempster
dude.
plays on...
He was lucky.
Surioli
Plays
or
on anyone
Mill.
he
No,
wants.
he doesn't.
He plays
Gibson
where
plays
he
on
wants.
the tall. Anyway, I thought the back line was outstanding. I probably half went to sleep after that, but the back line I thought was very good.
I think we've won the day, Danny. And I had
And what about
so-
Class as captain?
Yeah, what Joe
You were
Watson
critical
do
of that?
wrong? What Joe Watson do wrong?
He probably trained off a little bit in the middle. And but he sent him in an All-Australian team.
Trained off in his leadership. Do you say
Yeah.
he trained off as a leader?
No, not as a leader.
Yes, that's what you
No,
thought.
I
That's what we're
did
talking
not.
We need to
I
leave
love
that
Joe.
argument here
Where
because
was Ben McGlynn?
I had him in.
I had him in.
I had Ben McGlynn in, and that's what I want to get on the record now. He's going to join us next.
Can I just make one comment before the end of the year? If you start talking to me when your head wobbles, I'll knock it off.